Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. You know, we continually talk about how dealing with people in the public just shows us how moronic people actually are, right? Like, we talk about this all the time.
It's like the number one theme of this show. Our target audience is officially people who like to listen to us complain about how stupid other people are.
Yeah, and you know, it follows through in real life too. I mean, like constant, like we've talked about Costco, we've talked about the supervisor at Sam's Club who thought it was okay to force us to return something, get our money back, and then buy it at full price rather than exchange it. I mean, there's all sorts of crazy things.
It wasn't even her biggest problem, man.
But today, I sent out an email that was given to me by an organization that's holding a leadership conference. And what they have done is they have created a page for each one of us, and they're doing their registrations right there. So they'll know how many came from me, etc.
Mm-hmm.
In any event, they have you send out these. They've got 3 emails. You're only committed to send out 2. They give you 3 emails. You copy the text, you paste it in, you format your little links correctly, you drop the right image in. I used their general one because they misspelled my last name on the actual image, and I wasn't about to be the one sending that out with my own name misspelled in the image. So I just used their general like image of all the speakers' pictures and then the name of the event, and then their pictures. So I put this out and I sent it out. And then at around 12:30-ish, I was coming up on needing to do an episode of Gaining the Technology Leadership Edge. And I noticed that a pop-up came up from my lead connector app that connects to our CRM. So-and-so has booked for May, whatever, 2024. Well, that's the guy that was scheduled at 12:30. Oh, okay. So I went in and I read his message.
Yeah.
And I had clicked unread. So I would only see, in the conversations tab, I clicked unread. Only see his. I'm reading it. While I'm reading his, another one pops up. Like, okay. I open it up. Have you not heard of ethical and honest marketing? I am reporting you as a spammer. That was the message.
That's friendly.
So without saying word for word what I said, I essentially told the guy that in reviewing your account, I have multiple questions. Like, you've received 23 emails from me. By the way, I checked. He opened 19 of them. So 23 emails, he opened 19 of them, never unsubscribed, not once, from the list. It's all recorded in the activity. It tells you every single trigger link they've hit, everything. No unsubscribe, nothing. So I say to him, you've gotten 23 emails. At this time, I didn't know about how many were opened. But I go, you got 23 emails from me. You never unsubscribed. You didn't unsubscribe to this email. You're still subscribed to the list right now.
Literally never clicked the unsubscribe button.
Right. And I said, and what part of action required space my next interview is dishonest?
It's just like that person who responded to the summit advertising saying that our subject line was dishonest and horrible marketing, and then they went on to lambaste us for using negativity in the subject line. And I was like, what, are you salty that somebody coerced you into opening their marketing email? Like, What is the problem here?
Well, that's what it comes down to. Because what I finally said to him was, we had another exchange where I ended by calling him a Karen and telling him to stop whining. Oh, and by the way, I did what you couldn't do on your own because you're too lazy, and I unsubscribed you from the list because I don't need whiny Karens on my list. He has to respond to that, and he basically says, why would you use bracket action required close bracket in the subject line? That's dishonest. And I said, and all I said to him was, why is it dishonest to use action required? There is action required. Inside of that email, it tells you to click a link to register. Isn't clicking the link an action that you need to take? Or can I just make you do it? Because I know the answer to that. That's an action you have to take. So pointed that out. And then I basically said, look, dude, I don't need your lessons in ethical marketing because you clearly don't know anything of what you're speaking. And by the way, the subject line is a psychological thing meant to get you to open the email, which not only did you open it, but you've now responded twice. Guess it worked. See ya.
Mic drop. Don't drop the mic.
And I mean, it's the greatest ending, right? Like, it was designed to get you to open the email. You not only opened the email, but you responded twice.
Right.
Plunk. Exactly. Mic drop. Like, see ya. Walk off stage. Don't come back.
Do you want to know the only thing I've witnessed lately that's funnier than this exchange?
I want to hear it, because if it's funnier than this, it's going to make me bust up.
Well, it already made you bust up once. Do you remember that dude we saw at Carnival Court?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Call him, I'm sorry, people, Masturbation Man.
Well, and he wasn't actually masturbating. It just really looked like he was the way that he was dancing.
He was air guitaring with the wrong. Well, he was air guitaring as a left-handed guitar player. So his right hand was going up and down the imaginary guitar neck. Understand now why I call him Masturbation Man?
So what happened was we went to Carnival Court to see a band we like play, and we're sitting there, and so we looked over, and this dude looked like he was jerking off, and it looked like he was licking the speakers.
He was licking the speakers, by the way.
At the end. He wasn't at the beginning. He was a little too far away. But anyway, so I nudge Rachel, and I'm like, look. And this dude, so he's going nuts. And then we were watching him and laughing, whatever, good stuff. And then, just our freaking luck, he decides to migrate to the other side of the stage because...
Yeah, he came closer to you guys.
Apparently, the other speakers looked more bodacious.
Just so anyone can know, I usually, at this place, it's called Carnival Court, I usually go straight up to the edge of the stage, and I kind of try to get between the guitar player, who is generally my guitar instructor, and their lead vocalist / other guitar player, who's like looks like the head of the band, I would say. And I try to get in between them. These two were sitting in like a table, like 45-degree angle behind me.
But directly in line with the speakers.
But yeah, exactly. I mean, 180.
Okay, so then this dude and his dual-wielding beers comes...
Two?
He had two in his hand. He had 2 beers in one hand. Hilarious. Anyway, he comes like... I don't know how to describe it, like galloping over.
All right. I can picture it.
He decides he's going to use the table right next to ours as his like junk deposit. He sits down, pulls his glass pipe out of his pocket, busts out his jar of weed, lights up, smokes a bowl, goes back to dancing with the speaker. 5 minutes goes by, he does the exact same thing again. He smoked, I would say, almost the entire eighth of whatever he had.
Wow. Such a waste.
Like,
such a waste. You smoke a little bit, you get to a certain point, and that's about where the weed's going to take you. You're not going any further. So let's smoke a little bit more. You want to know what it actually does? It drops you down 2 or 3 levels. You have to know your limit and sit there. It's like drinking. You can get drunk enough where, yeah, you shouldn't be driving. Once you take a sip of alcohol, in my opinion, even a sip, don't drive. It's my opinion. You can all disagree with me, but if everyone did that, there'd be no drunk driving arrests, would there?
No.
So you take that sip, whatever. There's a point where if you have another drink, you're not going to understand what's going on. But right now you're having a really good time and you think everything is funny and you're funny because you're all relaxed. That's the point of no return. Once you reach there or right below it, you should stop.
Right.
But you should never go past it. And that's what people make the mistake of doing with everything, including this.
So as he got higher and higher, I suppose, or whatever was a
duller and duller,
he got rapier and rapier with those poor speakers. And yes, indeed, at the end was licking them quite aggressively. Then the band goes to take their break. And so he was rocking out to the like piped in music for a little while, but then it started to piss him off. So he was like hollering at the top of his ever loving lungs into the speakers.
Yeah.
For the band to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is the thing, guys. This is the tolerance level here in Vegas. Security came early in the night and tossed a lady and some kids out. And I say kids lightly. They were like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
But they weren't 21, and it was required to be 21 to be in there. And the lady
They didn't really toss. They
they asked the question. The lady said, sorry, they're going to have to leave. You can stay. And the lady said, oh, you seriously? You're going to make them leave? That's what she said to them. And the guy was like, yes, I have to, ma'am. It's the law. And I could lose my entire place for letting those two kids stay here. So she's like, oh, okay, no problem. And she left. She didn't bitch. She didn't moan, nothing. But my point in saying this is they're paying attention to what's going on there. They know that guy's basically making out with the speaker.
Right.
But because he wasn't bothering anyone else,
right,
they let it be. I guarantee you, if a woman was standing where I was standing and he started like turning and coming at her,
they would have thrown him out.
They would have thrown him right.
Security was watching him. The bartenders at the bar were watching him.
Yeah, he would have gotten thrown right up. He would have gotten tossed so fast.
He finished his beers and he left, though.
Yeah.
And I have to go back to the lady who said got quote unquote tossed.
Yeah.
She was wearing the most fantastic Canadian tuxedo.
She also went up there and said, am I looking googly eyed with making circular motions around her nipples?
Yeah.
And yeah, she was, let's just say, for her, it was probably cold.
Yeah.
Point taken.
Literally.
Exactly. Could cut ice.
Probably.
And glass.
Everyone could see them. Threw her denim out.
And she pointed it out.
And I'm not telling you people what a Canadian tuxedo is. If you don't know, do the Google.
Look it up. Or you could send an email. info@yogispodcastnetwork.com. That always works. And by the way, I wanted to talk about something before we continue our discussion here. We now have YouTube channel for Vegas. We have the YouTube, and that's, at WHIV. And then we have the Gaining Technology Leadership Edge YouTube show. That's at GTLE show, both with youtube.com in front of them / check those out, people, because it's very specific type of content. The Vegas one is more travel oriented from the perspective of people who are more normal like everyone else. And they like grab a vacation when they can. They're not like on these big, long, lavish vacations.
If you watch some of the What Happens in Vegas videos, the recent ones that have gone out before you're listening to this, I will tell you will be able to see the man from Carnival Court dancing, because I definitely took his video.
He will be in the video. We have a video that will have come out already about living in Vegas, and it gives our perspective as transplants here, what it's like living here. And it's very different from what you think. Trust me. So wanted to mention that. I think that's important that our listeners know about, other outlets for us. And the other thing that I wanted to mention was if you do have any friends, relatives, sisters, brothers, daughter, son, that's a tech executive, I'm going to be launching a mastermind class, which is still as of today unnamed, but I'm going to be launching a mastermind class here in Las Vegas. We're going to start with some locals first. Then we're going to bring some people from out of state here to Las Vegas, and we're going to give them nice, like probably 12 to 15 hours worth of instruction for a pretty cheap price. So stay tuned. We'll have more on that. Back to talking about crazy stuff you see in Vegas.
I have to tell you, that man wasn't even the craziest thing that happened at Carnival Court, though. Do you want to know the craziest thing that happened at Carnival Court?
This will be interesting.
So we go often to Carnival Court and we never buy anything because we drive and don't really drink at all. So we go and we partake in the music and we bail. Well, this time we went with our friend, like I mentioned. She was thirsty, so she opted to get a club soda with lime. Now, Mike, what do you think a club soda with lime should cost at a tourist-style establishment?
$4.
That's kind of what I thought, too. I thought between $3 and $4. No. $7.58 pre-tax for a 12-ounce cup of club soda that was mostly ice and a teeny tiny sliver of lime.
So basically a can and a tiny sliver of lime with some ice.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
I couldn't believe it when I saw the price. I couldn't. Absolutely. So do not drink club soda at Carnival Court.
But you know why they do this stuff? Because they know you're not going to ask them how much it costs.
Right.
They just know that. It's why I remember that barbecue place we used to go to in California in Cerritos. And I told you the story about how we one time were there meeting during divorce times. We were meeting, and there was a person on the other side was training. And he said, yeah, we don't put the soda price on there. That way we can change it at will.
Yeah.
And what they do is they count on you going, I'm going to have, let me have a Coke.
Right. And no
one's going to look at the price that it's $5 effing dollars.
Right. Most people won't complain at all.
Right. And if you do complain, they'll be like, no problem, $3.
Right. But if you go out there to that barbecue place with a family of 4, it's like $100 bill, I'm sure, at that point or more. You're not going to complain about a $5 soda. You're going to give it an eye roll, and next time you're going to think long and hard about ordering anything besides water when you go there, but you're not going to do anything. If I was the one at Carnival Court and I had ordered a fucking soda and it was $7.58, I would have told the waitress to just take it right back. Be like, no, thank you. Take it back. I'm not that thirsty.
Well, no, I agree with you. Like the only time I've ever complained about drinks is there was one time on Mother's Day and she wanted to go to this restaurant in Long Beach on the pier. Mm-hmm. Right. So it was in that Shoreline Village place.
Where the Schooner Lighter is?
Right.
I really like that place.
So we go in, we sit down, and they keep coming back and saying to the kids, would you like more? Key question. More soda. Yeah, of course, they're kids. Yes. As long as mom and dad don't say no, they're going to keep saying yes. Right. And so they downed like 4 each during dinner. And the bill comes. And we were billed $5 for every single soda they drank, including the more. And so I told the manager, no, you refilled them. You didn't give them new sodas. You refilled you only used more of your soda and water. You didn't use any more ice. You didn't use another cup. There's not any extra labor involved there. Everyone else gets free refills. You're going to charge me $5 when you didn't tell me? Well, we did say, would you like more? Well, yeah, more infers that you're refilling it. It doesn't infer you're giving me another. How would you like another? Right. Would be my mistake. I ended up not winning that with that manager, and I ended up having to win it with my credit card company. And I did. And you know what's funny about it? Had he taken off like what? $30 off the bill? I'd have been happy because I would have paid for their initial sodas, right? I ended up getting the whole entire thing charged back because that's the only way they could do it back then.
I like places that are upfront about whether or not refills are included on their menu.
Exactly. And a lot of times what it will be, which I find fair but weird, is $3.50 for a large Coke, $1 for refills.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
I find that weird. Because you're basically telling me that you're ripping me off by more than $2.50 because you know they're making a profit on the dollar.
Of course, but you also know that extra $2.50 might be covering the dishwasher's time washing the cup and all that.
Exactly,
bullshit.
Which is what I brought up with the other situation.
And I understand that those things are minimal in cost, but still,
like I said, a lot easier when you're refilling, which is why I wasn't about to pay $5 a refill.
But there's a reason most places just give free refills on soda because it costs like 0.3 cents per glass and it keeps you super happy. And if you have more soda refills, you stay there longer and you may order more things.
Right. My trainee came from Carl's Jr. as a manager. And I asked him that question and he said, that soda at that time, this is what's funny about it. At that time, they charged us like $1.99 for that giant, boat at Carl's Jr. that you could dive into. They would charge $1.99 for that. He goes, you want to know what that actually cost us? 2 cents.
Yep. And like 1.7 cents if that is the cup and the straw and the lid.
Yeah.
And
2 cents. So then when they refill it, it's 0.3 cents. You're right.
Yeah.
Totally. 0.3. He goes, you know how long it would take? It would be hundreds of refills before it would break even.
It was probably around the same period in time that you were learning this from that Carl's Jr. dude as I was taking the class in college that was teaching us all the same things. So, I mean, maybe it's 0.4 cents now because Biden inflation has hit everything.
Yes.
So I think a 25% increase is probably
probably fair.
Reasonable.
But yeah, it's the same exact scenario. And when you face it, you just kind of go,
right.
What am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
and you don't know what to do with this.
Right.
I hate that motorcycle.
And on that note, good night, everyone.
Hasta bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.